Next up, we have Being a Full-Time Artist Thanks to NFTs. I'd like to welcome Jay Alders, Camibus, Clara Luzian, and Parin Heidari, and I will be moderating, Serena Chargunla. Hello, everyone. So I would like to start off the panel. We have 4 amazing panelists here. And I wanted to ask if you could all tell us a little bit about how you came into the industry, when you came into the industry, and how you've kind of seen the landscape change into creating an income for yourself through art.
Ladies first.
Shall I start first?
Yeah, ladies first.
So hello, everyone. My name is Parin Heidari. I'm an artist from Iran, and I've been living in Europe since 13 years ago. Starting art was, I think when I was 3 years old, I started drawing, and every single day I was painting, drawing. I studied engineering, but I always wanted to be an artist. And my journey in the NFT space started around 15 months ago. And thanks to the NFT space, I can be a full-time artist. So I've been doing art for years, but now NFT has changed everything. So yeah, 15 months in this space.
Hello, everyone. I'm Clara, aka Render Fruit. I've been making art, especially 3D art, for 10 years now. I jumped into NFTs 2 years ago, and the journey has been intense. Because 2 years in NFT world, it's a lot. I've been working for clients for these 10 years, and doing my work for them, and being loyal to my art. I had the luck to work for many great artists, especially musicians. But NFT started to pile up, and it's a really interesting movement. And I think digital art is like the next art movement, as well as surrealism, Dada, like whatnot. So the NFT comes to maybe validate our art, because digital art has been not recognized as a traditional art. So yeah, I'm really happy to be in this movement.
Hello everyone, I'm Camibus. I've also been an artist for over a decade now, but I always thought that digital art would never have value by itself. Like if you were a digital artist, you could only make art for a product, like a video game or in marketing or movie industry. But never would I have thought we could create digital art that stands by itself and it's art for art's sake. So I think NFTs have changed that completely, and for the first time in history, as digital artists, we have the chance to create art and be independently, artistically and financially by just doing what we love. So I've been an indie game developer, but NFTs have given me a chance to create art for art's sake, and I've been doing amazing. They have been life-changing for me, and being from a developing country where I've never would have thought I would have had a chance to have my work exhibited and recognized worldwide. This is just such an amazing opportunity that we have this chance of connecting with people worldwide and having our world collected by people worldwide, and it's just simply amazing. And I'm so grateful to be here, to be able to talk about it and share my journey. Thank you.
Hey guys, my name is Jay. I'm based in New Jersey, so not too far. I've been an artist my whole life. Can you guys raise your hands of how many artists we have in here? I'm wondering what our audience looks like. So can any of you guys relate to this? Like, since I was a little kid, I was like that weird art kid in school that was doodling on my books instead of paying attention. That's all I've ever wanted to do. And thankfully, it's all I've ever done for work. I've only used my creative skills as an artist, and I'm pretty much doing what I love. I've been doing my fine art for a living, full-time, for about 15 years now. And as a kid, besides doing art, I was also kind of like a strange art kid because I also love to do coding. I taught myself to code in 4th grade. I love computers. So in March of 2021, when I heard about NFTs, the idea of bringing like this techie, nerdy side of myself and my artistic side together, just my mind was blown. I thought it was amazing, and I've been in the space ever since then. But I've been doing digital art since like Photoshop version 1 or 2. So it's been a long time of making both traditional as well as digital art, and it's super exciting, and I'm having such a great time and doing what I love, and I hope you guys can relate to that.
Wow. So my next question for you all would be, you've all been in the space a while, especially in the art industry. And as artists, I was wondering, based on your backgrounds, how you've kind of seen your audience change from prior to Web3 to now that we're in Web3. And I guess, like, have you had to like start over when you've gone into the digital space? Have you kind of kept the same audience? What has that looked like? I'd love to hear from all of you. Sure.
So I have been working in branding industry since I think 15 years ago as a graphic designer and art director. And I used to use Instagram for years to share my drawings. So my audience were my followers, and either my clients or my followers. And I've done marketing for years. I never really loved it because it wasn't too artistic. It was completely different. But when I joined NFT space, the first day that I started speaking on Clubhouse, I just realized the people that I met in the space are my audience, that I've been looking for them for years. The collectors that they connected to my drawings were the ones that for years I was missing having them in my life. Then I got connected to a lot of amazing people, a lot of great musicians, a lot of great artists. From Time magazine, I got an invitation to be one of their first artists in their Genesis drop party. So one of my audience was actually Keith Grossman, the president of Time magazine, that he just found my drawings online and then heard me speaking on Clubhouse, and we became close friends since then. So this is how everything changed in the NFTs. I worked with Timbaland on one of his drops also for Time magazine, worked with Christian Burns, great musician. Like a lot of collaborations especially happened thanks to the space. And then being able to know who collects your pieces, being able to talk to them, being able to understand why they like your art, that is something really important, I guess. And before that, most of the times I didn't have chance to know like who buys my art from my website or who even likes my work, rather than only the ones that they were liking my pieces on Instagram. So that was the whole thing. And obviously my client at Graphic Design Studios were only my clients for branding. That was completely different. But the fact that we are creating art with our soul, I think NFTs helped us to share our journey, our story as well through our art, and also through a lot of mediums like Twitter Spaces, like Clubhouse, to talk about where we are from and to create, for example, one piece of art. What was the story behind that? So this is why I really, really like the whole space of NFTs.
Nice, 100% agree with you. It's so many points there. I also work, as I was saying, like with big musicians like Young Thug, Kodak Black, Bring Me the Horizon, and like before there was like always the managers and the middlemen, and now we get to talk with the artists directly because they want to understand it, they want to jump into NFTs like the musicians. And I had a funny conversation with Grimes back in 2020, beginning of 2021. She didn't know what the NFT movement was, and she wanted, like, her brother wanted to do something super rare, but it was really new. And I pointed her some like tips, and it was a funny conversation. But mostly that we like eliminated the middleman, and we get to talk with like real conversations with other artists, and as you were saying, with collectors too, and our following get to know like what's the meaning behind every pieces, because the pieces stop like being for someone else to being like personal or collaboration. So that is a huge thing for me, mostly.
Yeah, so I also posted my art on Instagram before I was an NFT artist. And I see a lot of very talented artists there, but they didn't make the jump into an NFT space because I think they're very reluctant to change and they're not open to these new ideas. They don't understand the technology, so I see many of them just stood behind. So that's why I really appreciate the NFT artists crowd, because these are people that are very, very open-minded and very innovative. So yeah, when I started doing art, I realized all the NFT people are on Twitter. So I didn't have any followers back then because I didn't use Twitter, and all my friends, my artist friends and fans are on Twitter, and yeah, everything changed a lot. Like nobody uses Instagram right now. No, and it was actually very scary because last year I was suspended from Twitter because of my art. I didn't know they had these crazy rules about nudity in art, and just thinking that I could lose my account and not being able to connect with the fellow artists and collectors, I was so afraid that that would just kill my career, and I would never be able to sell my art again, because that's really the place where everyone hangs out and everyone makes connections and networks. But it was so impressive to see all the community come together and supported me in tweeting and trying to get Twitter's attention to get me back, and it was just so nice to see people being so supportive of others, even if we didn't know each other live. It's just we talked a bit, maybe we saw each other's art, but everyone has such a huge sense of community, and that's I think amazing. So yeah, I just love my fans now. It's just very open-minded people and very supportive people, and I think they're very different to the people that used to follow me before. Thank you.
I love that. I think one of the most beautiful things about artists, all of us, is that by our nature, we're very open-minded, and we're very curious, and we're problem solvers. And so I think you brought up a good point about the different platforms. Like currently, Instagram is not necessarily necessary for NFTs, but I think that will change. I think Twitter, still has the remnants of like the investing, developer, crypto side of it, and I think that sort of residue of where the Twitter base came from is going to shift, and I think we're going to see a switch. And it really reminds me to, like, I guess coming back to your original question, is like, so when I first had my art career sort of pop, MySpace was a thing. Like MySpace is actually where my art career took off. And I ended up spending all this time, like we are now in Twitter, I was spending that amount of time on MySpace, and I got my following up to like 20,000 something people. I don't know if any of you guys are old enough to remember MySpace, but like they had like the top 9 or something or whatever it was. I was like in Shepard Fairey's like top 9, and I was like, wow, this is amazing. And then like an hour later, no one cared about MySpace, and then everything was like all about Facebook, and then everyone nowadays is caring about not so much about Facebook, and now it's Meta, and so I think there's a really great lesson here to what Cami was talking about, is that it's very important as artists, since we are problem solvers, since we are good at putting pieces together, to sort of keep in mind that Twitter could vanish, NFTs will change the platform, the technology. There'll be ERC, some other number soon, and it's really important to not put all your eggs in one basket. And I've been telling all my artist friends from the beginning how important it is to diversify. Like still a very large chunk of my income comes from like IRL art, and I never let go of that. I think it's important to make sure you maintain your income streams from prints, from originals, from merchandising, from licensing, as well as NFTs. And I think we're going to see more of a merging of Web 2, Web 3 over the next several years. So I think these are some lessons that my fellow panelists just talked about that are really, really important to kind of ponder.
Couldn't agree more. I just wanted to take a moment just to acknowledge that there are 4 full-time artists up here. Can we just get a round of applause for that? Now, in the Web3 space, artists have to do so many different things. They have to do their business strategy, their marketing, so many different aspects of it, and building their community on top of creating as well. So that's why I wanted to take a moment just to acknowledge, and I'm so inspired by the 4 of them here today. But I wanted to ask, what in the Web3 space has kind of had an impact on you to make it into creating an income stream from that? Or what was the moment that, I guess, made you decide to become a full-time artist or to really take that leap, and what in the industry makes that possible for you?
Again.
Sure.
So, for all of us, for artists, being a full-time artist, I think, is a dream. And living in this world, sometimes it makes it really hard to be a full-time artist because you need to pay rent, you need to pay the bills, and you can not only sit, create without making money, right? So the first thing that I heard about the NFT space was, oh, you can sell your pieces at the highest value ever, and you can actually bring, you can just put any kind of price that you want to your pieces, and you will sell. That was the first thing that I heard about NFTs like a year and a half ago. The first day that I started my NFT journey, the only thing that I noticed was the community. It wasn't about the price. It was about finding a lot of like-minded people from all over the world, and it was COVID times as well. So we were in quarantine. I was actually creating all the time. I used to be a teacher also, a part-time teacher, part-time graphic designer, part-time art director. So that was how I used to live. And when I saw how this NFT community is bringing a new culture to the space, and we were building this culture, that was the most important and exciting thing about the NFTs for me. And how each one of us, the artists, the collectors, the developers, all of us, we helped each other not to give up, and they believed in us as well. I mean, the collectors or the other artists. When I just saw how much people can believe in what I'm doing, for years I was looking for that, if I want to be honest. I draw one-line drawings with two hands. I'm ambidextrous, so I used to do that like as a hobby for years, to just capture the moments of my life, just draw one-line drawings. And when I talked about what I was doing, this community really loved what I was doing. And for years you think that, how can I live out of just one-line drawings? No, you need to be an engineer. I come from Iran, and in the Middle East, the first thing that your parents always say is like being an engineer or a doctor. Art is a hobby there most of the times. And I also studied art and engineering, both of them. But, being able to sell my pieces, and even the community brought value to my pieces. So my prices were not too high at the beginning, but the secondary sales were like 10 times more, and they were still selling. And I was featured on OpenSea, I was featured on Known Origin, all of the platforms, and that's why I just loved NFTs again, like one of the other reasons, because when you love creating what you're creating, people see that in you, people see that in your art, and they connect to that. And obviously, if you love what you're doing, you can be the full-time of what you're doing, the full-time artist, in my case. So it wasn't really first the financial part of that. It was more about emotional side of that. And the fact that I'm here in New York, I just arrived 2 days ago, it's all because of, well, mainly for where I am right now, but also to meet all of these people that I've been talking for like a year and a half, because they helped me to be a full-time artist. And I am, and I think I will never ever do anything else. I will be full-time artist, that's it.
Okay, again, agree 100%. Same feelings here. For me, what brought me to this world is just curiosity. I think that's a very common characteristic between artists. So it's really like curiosity on how this works, and also the sense of being like capturing, like getting the moment that is in the air, and of course like the sense of community we've always been looking for. You just have to think that we are like solo people, nerd in our computers, like mostly freelance artists at least. So the sense of open and community and meeting people, and also in this type of conventions in real life, it's just like you have to be here.
Yeah, so for me, I started drawing when I was about 21, so it was pretty late in life for a wannabe professional artist. And for several years, I always had imposter syndrome, thinking I'm not good enough, thinking I'm not gonna be, having the skills good enough to be employable. So I always tried to to study and be good at everything, like animation, background art, character design, trying to do everything and be good at everything to be employable, because I didn't think there's the opportunity to be an artist like Dali was or Picasso was. And I just thought, in order to be sure you can make a living as an artist, you have to be sure you're the best and you can do anything any studio wants you to do. So NFTs have given me the chance to just do one thing and try to master that. So I don't have to be good at everything. It's good enough to be the best at one thing. And I found my direction, I found my style. I decided I want to focus on the human figure and do something surreal with it. And the progress I've seen in the last year is just amazing, because when you don't try to do everything all at once, you just focus on one thing, you can really master it. And I think that's what's amazing about NFTs. You have the opportunity to work on what you're passionate about, and all these other financial restrictions and like artistic restrictions. Like, you don't have to work for clients, you don't have to work for something you're not passionate about. You can just focus on what you care about most, what you like about most, and you have full independence, both financially and artistically, to focus on that. So I think NFTs are amazing in that way.
Now, it's interesting. I was just thinking about, like, when I was a little kid, my dad's best friend was a creative art director in New York City. And as a little kid who was like a really nerdy artist, like, I loved when he would visit us from New York, and he would bring me these magazines. And I remember specifically he'd bring me these magazines in like maybe the 90s of like, it was something like Computer Graphics Magazine. It was something really cheesy like that, and the art was terrible and it was super corny. But he was trying to tell me how computer graphics would be the next big thing, and it never really made sense for most people, but for me it did. And then as technology shifted and printing shifted and all these different things sort of evolved, it sort of made sense. And then I fast forward to college when I was learning photography in the darkroom and mixing chemicals, and digital photography was being talked about. And again, the innovation, the technology wasn't there. It never made sense. And I was learning Photoshop, as I said, back in the day, and it never really clicked for people how this eventually could do anything. And I was making art, clicking with the mouse, click by click, pixel by pixel, and eventually the tools, the Wacom tablet came out, and now the iPad, and it's just incredible to sort of see how using digital art, creating digital art, has gone from like the end became, I would make art digitally, and I still do for like big bands that you might have heard of. I make posters for them, or album art, or things like that. And the end goal was always something tangible, something physical. And so in March of 21, when I heard about the idea of like the digital could be the end, not of your means, that sort of like just blew my socks off. It was just amazing. So I feel like we're still at the very beginning of it, and again, it goes back to being curious, being open-minded, being a problem solver. And it's going to be interesting when hardware and innovation catches up to all of our ideas, all of our visions, to where everyone has either a digital screen or a freaking hologram in their kitchen or whatever the thing might be. There's going to be a point where it's sort of like when the iPod came out, and everyone was like, oh, now I get it. MP3s are actually useful, and art is actually something that could be tangible. And it's going to be super cool for all of us to be on the ground floor of whenever those devices at phase 1, 2, 3 in the next couple of years happen, where everyone starts to have these things and how the business models change. But it's just incredible that we're surrounded right now by creative people that are using digital means to create art that was only possible through sticky, oily, messy means before. It's just incredible.
And with that, I think we're out of time. But what a panel, everyone. Give it up for Jay Alders, Camibus, Clara Luzian, and Parin Heidari.
Hey, before we go, can some of you guys take a picture and send it to us? Because this is pretty cool. Right, guys? So my panelists agree that would be awesome. If
anyone get a picture?
We'll take a corny moment and do a picture. Because I think if you guys are artists, you understand having like magic moments like this is something you want to record. Because as little kid artists, how about a video? Awesome. Should I beatbox for you? There you go.
And as MC, I think I'm going to have us usher off the stage at the moment.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, everyone.